I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Board of Oswego Authority Board. Begin with introduction, starting with you, Bill.
Bill Scriber, Board of Oswego.
Oh, this is on?
Fran Enright.
Tom Schneider.
Christine Gray, H. Lee White Maritime Museum.
Mercedes Neese, Executive Director, H. Lee White Maritime Museum.
John Karras Smith.
Jerry Brown.
Linda Dean.
Amy Tressetter. Motion 11-05-1801 is to approve the minutes of 10/1/2018. It's Exhibit A. Could I have a motion and a second to move the minutes?
Second.
Are there any edits, corrections, changes to the minutes? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Administrative, we have a motion. What are we going to? Motion 11-05-1804. This is a resolution authorizing the H. Lee White Maritime Museum to apply for a Save America's Treasures grant for repairs and refurbishments of the LT5 tug, and that we would write a letter in support of that application
As the owner.
as the owner of the tug. Can I get someone to move that? Second?
Second.
Questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Administrative operational report.
Okay, I'll start out with, we have received a request from Harbor Fest, which I need the board's authorization for. Next year, they would like to put the Midway, as it was in previous years, back at our parking lot near Fish and Wildlife, near the Coast Guard Museum. The reason for this request is that they'll be losing the space. The city now has sold the flexible wire facility, and they'll no longer be able to hold it there. It's worked there before unless there's any objections. They've agreed to all the signage and putting it off there, and this is a good event that we try to stimulate tourism in our area. So I told them I'd bring this before the board because this is a requirement that if we put it on our facility, ensuring that we have the necessary insurance certificates on their part, and ensuring that we're covered under those.
What is the necessary insurance certificates? What's the amount that we're requiring?
They would, we would, our new agent, John, I discussed that with him, but our minimum was $1 million with an extension of $2 million, personal, individual.
Why? Because
And they name us as an additional insured on a certificate for Harbor Fest.
Because what I was worried about is that if you get one of those rides and something happens and that goes down, $1 million is not going to go very far. So I don't know if that's adequate. I mean,
I don't have any.
anybody's got any input on that?
No. But I think that
No idea.
John's got a lot of experience. He's been on the Harbor Fest board, so I think it's a great question, and we just kind of need to know what is the standard out there, what hasn't happened, what risks have arisen from it, the insurance cover or not cover.
Right. I don't mind approving it. Other than that, I just don't want to see us hanging out there
You got kids on rides?
with liabilities. I mean,
There's also a strong controversy over the neighborhood having that right there in their backyard. Remember that last year?
When I was first ward counselor, and there was a lot of issues because what happened was all the people from the rides migrated up through the neighborhoods and caused a lot of vandalism stuff in the neighborhoods right there surrounding that area. So that was part of that was actually it came down to the port. It really wasn't up to the city to approve it because when I was on there, it was obviously, it was the port's property. So, and the city doesn't have any, it really doesn't know that it's up to us. They feel it's up to the council to approve it, but it really isn't. But it's something to take into consideration with that. But in lieu of the fact they lost their place,
Yes.
my only concern is the insurance liability that, I have $1 million on my boat when I race with 6 people. $1 million, when you're talking about that carnival, there just may not be enough. So, that's all my concern
I
is.
think that we could probably approve their use of it if the insurance issue is ironed out to.
To our satisfaction.
Yes.
Well, I'll ask John to give his recommendations in writing, and I'll forward it to the board members.
Mhm.
I mean, they've held it there before, and John's a good,
Right.
we've had John in the past. Actually, John was there when it was there
Mhm.
previously, so I'm sure he's well aware of the insurance liabilities, and I'm fully confident John will make sure we are not liable.
Why don't you get in touch with them, we'll put it on the agenda for next month,
Okay.
we should give them plenty of time.
Yep, we'll do that.
It becomes a function of, you know, premium to coverage. You know, if the premium to coverage is pretty low, then go high. And it gets escalatingly higher when you get to 20 million, then, you know, how's Harborfest gonna afford the policy? And
Right.
is there any way to underwrite that otherwise?
I'm just giving you what our limits are, minimum required under our state laws, $1 million and a
Yeah.
bumper shoot of $2 million per individual
Yeah.
occurrence, that's our minimums.
Yeah, that's a good point, too. It's really state property.
Do you have to go to the AG?
Yeah.
Defense it.
Yeah. Well, another good learning opportunity.
Okay, next is roof repairs, all have been completed just as repairs to button them up for the winter, ensure that we don't have any liability for leakage or whatever. That was finished, actually on Sunday.
John was asking, do you skip bullet 2 on purpose, come back to it?
Windmill project.
Oh, no, oh, I'm sorry, I was looking down here, windmill project, I had a meeting with Apex Energy a couple weeks ago. Mike Shanley gave me a letter, agreement, passed it over to them. They're in the process of reviewing, getting it back to us. They made it very clear that the Blue Project not only is their desire to have it here, but is also a part of the plan as it's submitted to the State Public Service Commission and the oversight. So right now, that agreement is only to hold our property for their use until October 31st of 2019, at which time a new agreement and financial arrangements will be made by them, because in 2020, if everything goes right, and all permits are in place, they will start construction and the project will be run out of the port of Oswego. And just as a note, though I don't have the exact figures, the last windmill project that we had brought over $2 million in revenue, personal income into the city and county of Oswego. That was our payroll. So it was a huge economic impetus. I think, Tom, you were on the board back then. It was huge. This isn't as many units, but they're twice the size of the ones we did in Maple Ridge. This will be equal to Maple Ridge, yet it will be less units, but they're larger, bigger, heavier, and it'll take longer actually to do the whole logistics projects.
Are the blades longer?
Yeah, they're over 250 feet.
So how are they transporting it by truck?
No, they'll be doing it by,
Excellent.
well, it's not, Tom, it's not finalized yet, but all indications will be by ship,
Yeah,
because of
that'll
size.
that'll be
Yeah, you
so
can't,
much more preferable to
Yeah.
the turn radius.
Yeah.
Just that, those trucks struggle with the,
Yeah. They're looking at blades by ship. The only thing that may come by truck is tower sections, which are smaller. I mean, they can put those in trucks. And the plan I went over with Neil Haig when he was here a couple weeks ago is that we looked at the site. He likes the Fitzgibbon site a lot because they can, actually what they want to do is they want to bring it in by possibly some by rail, ship with blades, tower sections. They can then coordinate each unit up there, so they have unit 1, 2, 3, and then they can then create an outflow to the island in an organized manner. Seeing he has so much property, he feels that this is perfect for them. They can be ahead or behind schedule, but they'll have everything organized so they can do units at a time. And that's what they're planning on, is not having just the pieces and having to put them together on the island. They want to have them here, put them together, and then transport as a unit out. Also, he wants to discuss, at that point in time, he'll know for certain.
They bring them down to here or create a way to put them?
No, what's gonna happen is,
Up on
that's
site?
an excellent question. I've discussed it with 3 of the finalists, and what we're going to do is, basically, they're going to stage them up at Fitzgibbons. They're gonna go directly on large tractor trailers. We're gonna go back, I've already discussed this with the Department of State and Coastal Resources. When we originally were built, we were supposed to go out a little bit further on the north end and come in. Well, that was never done because the phase 2 was never completed at the port. What I'm planning on, and what the contractors and Apex is, will just go out slightly where the water already is filled in with the rocks that were originally there, so we would continue, and we're gonna build a railroad dock. It'll only be a minor 80-foot long, but that'll allow the railroad barges to come right in, drop a gangplank, and we'll drive them right on.
Is that inside the break wall?
Yes. Yeah, it's right at the end of the
I
north
know,
dock.
I was trying to visualize in my mind whether or not.
It's right at the end of the dock, and what makes it so perfect is it sticks out, and this is what happens. The shoreline, and it's right there.
Yep.
And it was never meant to be there. So we're just gonna extend that over like that, and then they'll just be able to drive right on to the barges in full units, and then go right with tugs. And why it is perfect is because the water level is lower there, but with a railroad dock, the barges only need water of 16 to 18 feet, and that's exactly what they want. And then they could go with different, like one unit would be on several trucks, they'll run them all out.
I'm not familiar with the term railroad dock, but it's.
Roll,
Roll on,
roll
roll off.
Roll on.
Like they use in the Port of Baltimore to bring out all the cars over there from Europe, they just drive them right off.
Yeah.
And,
What they want to do is bring in, they already have contacted several companies that have the barges, which is the planks go down, hydraulics, drop right on the ground, drag your truck right on, fill it up, take the tug, bring it out. And then that would be constant. And they also want to discuss with us long-term, because it'll be maintenance, cranes, all that stuff. So these are all additionals. So
well,
that
it's gonna add, it's really gonna increase our revenue too, because now we've got another dimension to
Is
the
that the
port
one
of the
right there,
rural.
Bill?
Yeah, it's,
Yes, exactly, that's it.
you know, it's
Yep.
it should have a major economic impact. Just, you know,
It's a win-win.
It's a little, you know, not everybody's in support of it, so, you know, it affects a little bit of push, but.
I got a circle too.
Well, I understand people's, both sides. My
Oh, yeah, no,
position,
no, it's not our, we don't make the decision. We-
Yeah, we're just a
We're
facilitator.
a business.
That's all.
but as far as the economic impact on not only the city, but the surrounding areas would be huge.
Yeah.
I mean,
You say that's-
what is gonna be built is gonna be primarily here at the port.
It's right here.
See that little,
That circle.
yeah, that little teeny, that was never supposed to be there.
Oh, okay.
Jumps
So-
out
yeah.
a little
So it's
bit.
coming down this, okay.
Yeah, it was never supposed to be there.
When I asked inside the break wall, I was thinking that you would come down this
No,
base.
no. Right at the end of the dock, that little, it sticks out
I
jutty.
visualize a giant crane.
And the water is less than a foot deep there because it's all been filled in with aggregate and rock.
Yeah.
So it really isn't a lake in a way. It's, for some reason when they built it, they never honestly went that little extra to kind of cap the end.
Yeah.
So the end's not capped. And then when I talked to one of the large construction companies, they said, well, this is perfect. would you have an objection? I said, you know, you're gonna build a dock in our property, is that a problem? Because that's in our original plans, you go out and look, that's our
Oh, yeah,
plan.
bring on some more ships too later. They have to do all
Yep,
this.
that's why I'm a banker, not an engineer, we don't make anything.
Yeah.
We facilitate people who make things.
Well, you facilitate it, so, no, yeah. So that's progressing nicely, I mean, as we move forward on that. Roof repairs, as I said, I apologize for skipping.
I'm sorry. You said there was an agreement that was reviewed by Michael.
Yes, all the agreement is for is that we will ensure that that site is available in 2020 for the project, if the project by October 31st of 2019 comes.
I would have with Mike if he was here, you know, and Mike and I have had this conversation a lot, that he's a generalist, and when you start moving into contractual relationships with, you know, large companies, which I assume Apex might be, you know, the level of exposure and expertise that he has might be something he wants to subcontract out to just get another pair of eyes on.
Okay. Well, it hasn't been finalized yet.
Yeah, just.
I was gonna bring it to the board when I got
They'll
finalized.
put in, you know, representations and warranties and, you know, indemnities that you just wanna.
But we have escape clause, 90 days either party can,
Yeah,
bail on it.
I just mean, if the agreement moves forward and something goes wrong, just like what Fran was talking about, I just.
This agreement, Tom, was very general. Here's what we want. It was just a reservation, we were
Right.
calling it.
At some point, there's gonna be a big contract if it goes forward.
oh, well, if we get in 2019, by October 31st or before then there will be a major contract between
Okay,
Apex and
that's-
because that's got to specifically detail how they will operate, hours of operation, how it will affect our business. I
Okay,
mean, we'll be
Okay,
tying up a
gotcha.
major portion of the port by then.
okay.
But by then, Tom, what we'll have is we'll have actually a real logistics plan for them on what units, when, how, where. Now it's just, we want you to reserve the space.
Just site retention.
Yes, right, exactly, site retention. Any other questions on that?
Nothing.
Okay. Roof repairs, they've been buttoned up for the winter. We did put a bid out on the, on Dome 1, we've got them back. We haven't opened them yet because it has been proceeding positively with the governor's office and DOT to take Dome 1 and put it into a grain silo. All we're doing is, brought it up to the Planning Development Committee, Jerry's committee. We're waiting, really, we'll have our next meeting as soon as we have the finalized numbers for them to review and then move it to DOT for their review and then hopefully an amendment on
Part
the
of the
contract.
phase one, then. That's part of
That's
our,
phase
what we
one,
discussed.
a phase one, yes. And when that, the committee has it through and approves it, then we'll bring it to full board as our phase one, so you can approve it and move it forward for DOT, because it will need the board's approval to move it to DOT for amendment.
That's gonna happen soon, right? We're moving right along on
We're
that.
moving very fast, well, in state talk, we're moving at light speed.
Yeah.
I like that.
There's a lot of red tape around
Yes.
the world, but, you know, we're moving, I mean, I'm being very helpful. The DOT is very helpful, Governor's office has been very helpful, everybody has been helpful. So they understand that the necessity that we expand our commercial base here, and our commercial base, one of those integral parts is grain. And it's gonna be a part of us that we lost when we lost the West Pier grain piers. It's coming back, and maybe not what we had back then, but we're gonna have a major impact. And Purdue is 110% behind it, so that's one of those things that if everything aligns, this is a positive move forward. And saying that, we have 2 grain ships in this month. First one, I don't know when it's gonna be here. It's been kinda like we wanna have a pool out. It was supposed to be here 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. It now is gonna be later Wednesday morning, and maybe not till Wednesday morning, because of weather and many other items such as rain.
What are they carrying?
They're gonna carry nothing, we're gonna load them with soybeans.
Oh,
It's an
okay.
export.
I was gonna say.
Yeah.
We got a
Export.
ton of soybeans all over the place.
Yes, and they're all gonna, tons are gonna go on that ship. And plus a lot more. We have one ship due, but then Wednesday-ish, and I say ish because depending on the weather, we can't load in pouring down rain and we can't load with high winds. Depending on the weather, we will load that ship, and then within 4 to 5 days, we'll receive another ship. So the logistics here is on a very tight time scale. Not only do we load one ship, we have to switch it around, take the excess grain we have in the north warehouse, transfer it back to the barrel building, switch our conveyor system back to a loading configuration on the dock. All gonna be accomplished within 3 days. So how we do it, I don't know yet, but we'll do it, as we always seem to do it. And we'll load the next ship between 20 and 24,000 metric ton. So the first one's around 10, next one's gonna be around 24. So we'll crank out in November 34,000 metric ton of
So I assume
soybeans.
soybeans still coming in.
Yes, sir, they are, and we're kinda like, it's like I always tell them, the inn is full. We have very little room left. In fact, out in the south warehouse, as you noticed, as you all take a look at my new truck, there's soybeans there in a bin that we just put up a couple weeks ago, just in case.
So the farmers are having a good crop.
Yeah, well, they're moving, what's happened is that we've become a transfer point for all the farmers in central New York and southern New York. We're getting trucks all the way from Seneca, Cayuga, all the way down the other side of Rochester, coming up to dump. Because Purdue's paying them a good price, and it's gonna be direct loads to the ships, and that's the best way to do it. It helps us, helps Purdue, and helps the farmers, and it creates a little bit more stimulus for the area too, so.
What's I'm trying to think, what's red wheat? You said maybe.
Red wheat is a greater wheat, yes,
Yeah.
a little higher quality. Right. You also know, so you're going over that time, we've had a huge increase in rail cars. Yeah, we're cranking.
I want to come, when you do this report, come back to the aluminum, but when Purdue came to us and talked about, you know, the resolution of sort of the wheat errors that had occurred that, you know, ended up being originated somewhere else, we talked about, you know, jointly looking at internal control systems that would, you know, ensure that, you know, no one was confused about that in the future. Have we done anything?
Yes, we have internal control system is new here now. We have a spreadsheet on every truck that comes in, every truck that goes out, and any waste. Anytime that we have to excess because of rain, ship loading, truck loading, it is put over the scale, weighed, and logged. So we keep an accurate count of everything. Now, our count is actual here. When they say, example, corn was supposed to be short last month, it wasn't short. They've got bad corn, they've got good corn, and they have to establish benchmarks on what that is. I'm looking at overall product we have on site. What did we bring in, what did we send out, and what is excessed?
Because eventually, they must have conducted, you know, an external or internal audit. Found there was a shortage that occurred over a long horizon.
Yes.
Without any accurate verification of inventory. Our bucks against your bucks. What do you think you have, what do we think we have? So is that slated to be done periodically?
We share our information with them. And here's the point, we only were relying previously on their computer system.
Right.
We're not any
No,
longer.
okay.
We've got our own system set up and we're tracking it ourselves. So that this does not
Yeah.
reoccur, and if it does reoccur,
Yeah.
we'll come to a very
Yeah, well, yeah,
clear
yeah.
discussion that our records are clear because we're running them across and we're keeping track of it. And we've notified them of it.
Yeah, it's, you know, timeliness of discrepancy and, you know, two separate records.
Right.
Okay.
And I made it abundantly clear to them, Tom, that when we load ships, there's more excess than their 1%. It's clearly, you excess more on the conveyor as you load. And
That was
the purging.
something that came out in the, you know, expert testimony that, you know, our counsel from Barclay Damon was gathering, if we were going to go to trial, was that waste is really for a controlled environment, an indoor environment.
And what I've made it abundantly clear to them is they will be here sometime on Wednesday to
They
load.
didn't seem to want to move on that.
Yeah, we don't have we don't have dump pits that are controlled with we don't have pneumatic systems, and our conveyor system, which they're part owners of, is open.
Right.
And it does excess, and you say, well, when you're loading 10,000 metric ton, 24,000 metric,
Yeah,
those
big-
few
that
beans
big
add
pile
up
on each side.
quick. Now, we bought a,
Do they automatically become waste?
no, we try to save immediately. But if we're loading in the rain and it gets on the ground,
Yeah,
it's waste. You can't help it because you can't put that back in the
Yeah,
shed.
you damage the rest of it.
Right, you damage it. So, I mean, if it's dry, like we had our last ship we logged, we saved a lot of it. I mean, there was a cleanup crew the day before that took several large 11-yard buckets worth of soybeans and put them back into inventory that never went on the ship. So they've seen, they're here today, they've seen that we've done everything we can to tighten the operation up. But the point is, it's just not a grain facility yet. And that's why we're going with that new grain tower. That will tighten it up.
Throw good answers.
Meeting with governor, as I said before, met with the Deputy Secretary of Transportation and the Deputy Commissioner of DOT, Ron Epstein. The basic conversation was this, as we have asked for, as Will Barkley put in for FEMA, that we have some critical needs here. They agreed that we have these critical needs and that the appropriation was $40 million for the Inland Port, and there would be a substantial amount of money left in the area of around 20 million. We're now actively in the process of actually creating, we actually have projects we've gone before the Planning and Development Committee with that have been existing. One is the grain facility. We have Crop Production Services that wants to double their storage on site, though we don't have enough storage site. We're creating a phase 1 where we would have an amendment to the appropriation from DOT, which is that $20 million, or
Who's head of the DOT now?
Ron
Ron
Epstein is
Is head
the
of-
deputy. He's the one I had the meeting with, and
Who's the commissioner?
I can't remember off the top of my head. He just came there about 2 months ago.
Yeah.
Ron has been there for the last dozen years. He's CFO. So you know what a CFO, they're the money people. And also I met with the manager for rail and passenger freight, which,
Staffers who do the work, right, so it gets political.
yeah. He's the guy that's there all the time, yes. The meeting was supposed to be 15 minutes, well, excuse me, a half hour. We went on to an hour and 15 minutes. They liked the vision at the port. We went to see the governor's office about 20 million. However, we went originally to DOT to discuss the PFRAP grant. That wasn't what he wanted to discuss. Apparently, the letters and phone calls that we had made to them, he just had scheduling conflicts for months and found the time when he wanted. Because as soon as I walked in, after initial greeting and chit-chat, he went right into the 20 million, and he would like to see it being used for the port in such a way as Albany had the money used in Ogdensburg. But he needed projects. This is not a give me money. Those projects have to be aligned with DOT's goals and transportation needs in the greater upstate area. And after Tom Swallow was there, we discussed a number of
How
them.
did it get outside of the control of the REDC? And I know the answer to the question, but. you know,
This was a direct appropriation from the governor's office in the budget.
It was still money allocated through the Upstate Revitalization Initiative, which is supposed to be, managed through the Regional Economic Development Council. And that money became a basket that had nothing to do with the original URI, which is fine, frankly, for us. It's just,
but it was designated as a port, and we have a contract sitting there on it. So, I don't know previously, Tom, what was going on, I wasn't involved in it, that was my predecessor,
Yeah.
so I've kind of taken it over
Yeah,
at the
no,
line.
listen,
Yeah,
that-
yeah.
that is a great,
Yeah.
that's what they're thinking, that's a great transformation.
I tried to be as persuasive,
I will
I tried to be as
talk about the
persuasive,
conversation earlier from Friday.
I tried to be as persuasive as possible and show our needs.
Yeah.
And
Well,
I believe they
showing
want
the
to be helpful.
opportunity for
Right.
development.
Right.
Our
Yes,
resources.
this will be multi-stages,
Yeah.
and it not only will be for us,
Yeah.
it'll be construction on site, it'll help the community, help farmers, again, it'll help.
Yeah, I'm just rephrasing, because you don't want to totally have a need, you have a resource, you know, that can grow to create more development.
Right.
I think that's
More
exactly,
More GDP.
that's exactly, I think what we were saying is that if, with this, we become self-sustaining. And that's exactly what we're talking about.
Yep.
And you see, and they see that as we make these improvements, it goes out to a larger area and creates more opportunities for farmers and others.
Well, I think it creates more opportunity for us, then we become more competitive in our bidding. So it just cascades right on down the line, so, you know, this reappropriation, to me, seems like a really big opportunity for us.
For the Port of Oswego Authority, which is where my shared responsibility lies. It's an amazing outcome.
Yeah.
Positive.
And we're going fast in the sense that.
Oh, I
this
was
will
very
take
well
years.
again.
Yes, that I want to make this go as fast as we can, as quick as we can. But again, you know, seeing someone eye to eye other than a conference call, sitting down, having a cup of coffee and talking, I think that was the most important thing, seeing the, I guess I would say the passion of wanting to get this accomplished is what was driving force behind it. Next is a conference call on Army Corps and harbor depth. Well, we're looking at 3 to 4 years out.
The Assemblyman and the Senate are informed on that. Somebody else is going to come after that. So anything you can get in writing and just keep them on your side.
Yep.
We know.
Yep.
Somebody's going to.
Well, I obviously, because of this season, I haven't reached out to the Assemblyman and the Senator yet
Yeah.
until I actually have, but my goal is that when I have more concrete, I was gonna, after Tuesday, I think they'll be much more
I'm not
aware.
looking for you to answer my question, that I'm just throwing out.
Yeah,
as
yeah.
sort of-
Well, and I'm glad you asked, 'cause that's in the back of my head, is,
Yeah.
you know, I was just gonna, you know, because Assemblyman Barkley has been very helpful to the port. And I want to continue a very positive relationship, because we might want to go to the Assembly for other things in the future. And
Yes.
we definitely want to keep someone on our side.
Well, I think part of this was, that's why we went ahead and we had our meeting with the planning development board. We came up with our different phases. We had phase 1, 2, 3, come up with the cost of it, keep this ball going, you know, let's keep it moving. And
The expression that allocation exists is, and directed this way, is a great outcome. So
But I agree.
Whoever worked on it is a great outcome. I've been missing for a few months here, so my apologies for that, and congratulations for that. Protect it.
well, that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah, I said, we should even get executive session.
But we've been moving ahead. Planning Development Committee has been very, very helpful. They've had their meetings. They've kind of narrowed down. That was something that we could present to them, get them excited about. I think these is really positive outcomes. Army Corps. Number one, we have seaweed depth in our channel now. Okay, it's very obvious. There's a couple points that's not seaway depth, but they don't get into our channel. However, the whole idea is we're gonna get larger ships in here beyond what they want to load. we're gonna have to go down a little bit deeper. I had a conference call last week with Army Corps. We put in a request of 107. They're gonna review that request. Senator Schumer's office has been very, very, very helpful with this. They were on the conference call with us. We're moving ahead. First stage is for them to do an assessment. They're gonna do an assessment, and then with that assessment, I'm gonna bring it back to the board. We have stages. There's 3 stages we have to go through. At the end of the day, it's gonna be 3 to 4 years out. That doesn't mean we're not gonna get depth, our depth here, because today we have about 27 feet, 6 inches of water. High, seaway depth is 26.6. However, it's still needs to be a little bit deeper for the large salties to have the confidence to come in year round.
Plus you got that rock on you, Bill, you gotta get
Yeah,
that
that
out of
rock,
here.
that rock's gotta go.
And is that gonna be sooner, I hope, than later? That's not gonna be a
That we
straightforward-
are discussing.
That is what, I'd like to see that right at the front and get that out of there and get the word out that we don't have that, that hindrance in navigation and, you know.
As that's in the approach on the lake. It's not in our harbor. There's a obstruction that's been there for a number of years. And just let me say this about this. I was kinda, I didn't know if I brought my notes on this, but as I was talking to them, yeah, I did bring my notes. The port had its depth established in 1870. Okay, and that is the official depth that they designed the port, or allowed this harbor to go, in 1870. And in 1870, there were sailing ships, and the new thing was steamers. So they realized that they have to update the charts, they have to update our channel. We're lucky that we're on this side, because this side has that depth of water. But we want to have that depth throughout the entire basin. And then that gives the confidence of the larger ships to come in if they need to have a turning radius.
Absolutely.
Right. So right now, we're bringing ships. There was a ship in here last year, Robert B. Pearson, 700 plus feet. Huge ship. Unloaded right here, no issues. Larger than most salties, because salties usually only go to 5.5 for transportation. But it's just the perception. And this is going to be a longer process than I'd like, but each, as the old saying goes, every journey starts with one step. Well, we've never taken that step before, so we've made a step. We're going through the process. I'll keep you informed each step of the way, and as we go through it, you know, I'll advocate again for the port that we get to this juncture. And they agree. 1870 was a long time that they've established the depth of this port, and they have to really honestly reestablish it, and it's going to take the Army Corps, its funding years and time. We aren't in this funding year. It's going to go in next funding year. It's got to go as a priority, which I'm going to talk again with Senator Schumer and Congressman Katko. Katko's office was pushing for this too. His aide down in DC. So I have to get a conference call back together with them and get everybody back lined up to get this in the funding bill for 2019 as a priority.
Just, you know, see what tomorrow brings. Tomorrow on the state side.
Well, also I'm having a conversation.
Senator Ricky wasn't in town today. I met with her. You know, the balance in the states important as well.
Well, as far as this part goes, I also brought this up to the governor's office
Yeah.
as the only port on Lake Ontario in New York State. This needs to be on their radar screen. And that was I think it is. It's obviously this time of year, nothing's on anybody's radar screen except tomorrow. But the point being is, after this all gets settled out, then we'll go talk about that. Last, very quickly, we were at the MWBE conference in Albany a couple weeks ago. As we are a state agency, we're more or less required to be there. We were there. We had a lot of, it was actually a good outreach. A lot of people asked where the Port of Oswego was. And I said, kind of like where Gooseberry and Grant's tomb. Port of Oswego is in the county of Oswego and the city of Oswego on the lake. And it was always a good event. We got a lot of good contacts, and what's more important is that we are continually keeping our goal of 30%. This last quarter, we're over 32.5% in discretionary spending for women and minority owned businesses. So all I can say is the people in the department are happy with us for that, and I don't want to be having them unhappy. So we're making a very good progress in the area, and being at the conference, you know, it was one of those areas they judge us on, so we were there. So, and that's the end of my report.
When you are, you know, trying to create opportunities, you know, you have to take intentional action to make it happen, rather than just wait for it to come. See what you're doing.
Well, that's why these type of events are good, because I'm able to mingle with all the state hierarchy.
You need to know who the contractors are, and you need to know which ones are truly owned under that structure and which ones aren't, because they really don't know the ones that are.
And as we look at our development here, it's good to have them know who we are, what we need, and for us, I mean, it's, as you know probably, Tom, it's better to look someone in the eye and talk to them directly than it is to have a call. And that was helpful to me. I have a lot of cars and a lot of people, a couple for stuff like we're gonna look for over here.
You have to do relationship.
Are you finished? Thank you. Administrative financial reports are up next. Motion 11-05-1802 to accept the primary financial reports, which are Exhibit C1. May I have a motion?
So moved.
And a second from John and Jerry. Okay, questions for Bill about this report?
Not that, I was just back to the activity report, I'm sorry, I been a little time, but Golden's pretty active again, huh? Have they been active the whole time though, in aluminum, Golden?
What was the question I hear?
Golden Sachs, in aluminum.
They're starting to pick that up.
Houses.
Yes, inbound?
Yeah, because you know, you're getting a lot more inbound than.
Yeah, well, that's based upon, as I said previously, they reach out to Goldman Sachs. The tariff has hurt some, it's helped others.
Yeah.
Goldman, I offered let me say, an incentive to go by rail.
Yeah.
By rail has been proved to be highly effective for them with the tariff on now. So we have more or less recaptured the market in rail. I don't expect it to end anytime soon with what the negotiations presently are. They've taken it off barges. It's actually, they've weighted it on, in the last 3 months, they've really, this is a minor amount to what we normally have had in rail with Goldman's. They're coming in heavily.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know, what they do is just play the commodity.
Yep.
You know, as opposed to.
And they like us because we unload cars fast and turn them around.
Mm-hmm. Good.
Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Motion 11-05-1803 to accept subsidiary financial reports.
Result of the mood swing of regulation, the federal agencies regulate banking.
Partly yes, partly no. It's partly because I offered them
They were,
reduce.
no, what I'm saying is they were pushed out of the business.
Yes, yes, yes. As I told you, I redid the rate structure this year.
Regulatory oversight didn't want the too big to fail banks engaged in that business already. So as you've seen regulatory relief at the federal government, they're moving back into that commodity triangle.
Could I have a motion for 11-05-1803?
What is 1105?
It's the subsidiary financial reports, Exhibit C2.
Yeah. Make that motion.
Second?
Second.
Okay, any questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. We'll move on to the chairperson's report. I have no report. I have a small report to make in an executive session tonight. Committee reports, there's no executive committee report. Audit and finance, Tom?
I have no report.
Governance, John?
Our acting executive director is calling a meeting the end of November to meet with an outside agency, and I plan to be there.
Okay, thank you. Planning and development, Jerry? Nothing to report? Attorney's report?
Nothing?
Nothing. Any old business? New business? We have a motion, 11-05-1804, to award the, we're gonna have to change that to 05. 05, to award the facility welding and maintenance repair contract to Shark Welding and Repair Service for the schedule of services detailed in the contract for a period of 1 year from award with annual renewals of up to 3 years. That's in Exhibit D. Anyone who wants to take a look at that, could I have a motion?
So moved.
A second?
I'll second.
And everybody wants to take a look at that before we go. If anybody has any questions for Bill or
Well,
comments.
this is the only one we received, we put it in the paper, we went out for bidding. The only one we received, he's done it the previous year. Honestly, he saved us a lot of money over a period of a year. I mean, the planning development committee, you saw, I gave them a report, gave you all a report on the facility needs. We've been pecking away at them. The scale's been redone. I mean, we had a huge expense with our power going down at three-phase. Money was saved there. Thank God that we were able to pull the cables through, not have to dig up the whole east dock, so.
Yeah.
I mean, in some ways, I don't like to say this of a contractor, but I guess I can. He's been basically, you know, I wouldn't say it, well, if I say it on tape, he's gonna know anyway, but he's helped us save some money in the long run with the way we've done things. And even though he's not a consultant, he's kind of consulted in areas like the dome, repair of the dome. One, I mean, we're watertight now with a fraction of the cost we would have gone out with, and now we're going to be going with a new facility there. So, I mean, it's a good working relationship. I mean, so I'd like to continue it if I can.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. I need a motion now to go into executive session to discuss negotiations and personnel issues. Fran?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. We are now back to a regular session, and I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We stand adjourned.